The dinosaurs vanished, but something equally terrifying took their place. Imagine early European mammals going about their lives, when suddenly a creature straight out of South American nightmares appears. A terror bird. These feathered predators emerged from the ashes of extinction, and one species even dared to cross the sea. I find it fascinating how nature abhors a vacuum, especially when it comes to apex predators. Roughly 53 million years ago, in the early Eocene, the world was a very different place. It was a hothouse, with lush forests stretching from pole to pole, filled with a diverse range of life forms that emerged after the dinosaurs disappeared. It was in this steamy prehistoric paradise that the first terror bird, Paleopsilopterus, made its debut. Standing at a modest height of 1 meter, or 3 feet, this Brazilian bird might not have seemed particularly terrifying at first glance. In fact, it was about the same size as a modern-day stork, hardly the stuff of nightmares. But appearances can be deceiving. Paleopsilopterus had something its contemporaries lacked: potential. What set Paleopsilopterus apart was its agility and speed, traits that would become hallmarks of its descendants. While it may not have been the apex predator of its time, dwarfed by monstrous crocodilians and giant snakes, it was a harbinger of things to come. Little did the other inhabitants of ancient South America know that they were witnessing the birth of a dynasty that would reign for millions of years. As the Eocene progressed, so did the terror birds. Nature, it seemed, had plans for this lineage of avian predators, and those plans involved getting bigger, much bigger. Just 3 million years after Paleopsilopterus took its first steps, a new player entered the scene. Eleutherornis, a terror bird that stood 50% taller than its ancestor, emerged as a formidable predator. But Eleutherornis wasn't content with merely growing in size. It also expanded its range in a way that no other terror bird would match. While most of its kin would remain firmly rooted in the Americas, Eleutherornis spread its wings and ventured across the sea to Europe. Fossil remains of this globe-trotting terror have been found in both France and Switzerland, making it the only known member of its family to have lived outside the New World. One can only imagine the surprise of early European mammals when this exotic predator appeared in their midst, bringing a taste of South American terror to the Old World. But Eleutherornis was just the opening act. As the epochs rolled by, the terror birds continued to grow, adapt, and diversify. It was as if they were engaged in a relentless competition with themselves, each new species trying to outdo its predecessors in size and ferocity. As we step into the Miocene and Pliocene epochs, spanning from about 23 to 2.5 million years ago, we encounter the true giants of the terror bird family. These were creatures that pushed the boundaries of what it meant to be a bird, reaching sizes that rivaled the predatory dinosaurs of old. 3 names stand out in this pantheon of avian terrors: Titanis, Kelenken, and Brontornis. Each of these genera represents the pinnacle of the terror bird lineage, and each had its own claim to fame. Titanis, the youngest and smallest of the trio, was also the most adventurous. While most terror birds were content to dominate South America, Titanis had grander ambitions. It crossed the newly formed land bridge connecting North and South America during the Great American Interchange, becoming the only large South American predator to successfully establish itself in North America. Unlike most of its relatives, this bird lived in what is now the United States, including the states of Texas, Florida, and California. Standing 2 meters, or 6.6 feet, tall, Titanis would have been an imposing sight for the mammals of North America. Imagine the shock of a Pleistocene horse or ground sloth, accustomed to watching out for saber-toothed cats and dire wolves, suddenly confronted by this alien predator, half bird, half nightmare. But as impressive as Titanis was, it was dwarfed by its cousins back in South America. However, recent studies have identified features in Brontornis's vertebrae that are unique to terror birds, lending weight to its classifications as a member of this fearsome family. Whether Brontornis was a true terror bird or not, its massive size would have made it a force to be reckoned with. Its weight likely made it slower than its more nimble cousins, but what it lacked in speed, it made up for in raw power. I imagine Brontornis as the tank of the terror bird world, capable of steamrolling over any prey, unfortunate enough to cross its path. While giant terror birds like Kelenken and Brontornis might have relied on their size and power to dominate their environments, many of their relatives took a different approach. Speed, it seems, was just as important as size in the terror bird playbook. Studies of terror bird leg bones have revealed a structure remarkably similar to that of modern-day ostriches. Short thigh bones paired with elongated lower leg and foot bones. This adaptation is a clear indicator of high-speed running ability. Paleontologists estimate that many terror birds, including some of the larger species like Titanis, could have reached speeds exceeding 30 miles per hour, or 48 kilometers per hour. That would make them faster than the fastest recorded human ever, Usain Bolt, while standing twice as tall and weighing several times as much. But speed wasn't just about chasing down prey. For many terror birds, especially the smaller and medium-sized species, it was also a crucial defensive adaptation. In a world filled with other large predators, including giant carnivorous mammals and enormous crocodilians, the ability to make a quick getaway could mean the difference between life and death. This combination of speed and size made terror birds versatile predators, capable of adapting to a variety of hunting strategies. Smaller, faster species might have specialized in chasing down swift prey, like small mammals and reptiles, while the larger, more powerful species could have employed ambush tactics, or even taken on larger, more dangerous quarry, while their imposing size and fearsome beaks often steal the spotlight. The true power of terror birds lay in their highly developed senses. Recent studies of terror bird skulls and brain cases have revealed that these prehistoric predators were equipped with sensory capabilities that put them leagues ahead of many of their contemporaries. While terror birds might not have had eyesight quite as sharp as modern raptors like eagles or hawks, they were far from being visually impaired. Their eyes were well developed and positioned to provide excellent depth perception, a crucial advantage for any predator. But what really set terror bird vision apart was its versatility. These birds were equally adept at seeing in bright daylight and in the dim light of dawn and dusk, making them effective hunters around the clock. As for their hearing, the inner ear structure of terrorbirds suggests an acute sensitivity to low-frequency sounds. This ability would have allowed them to detect the footsteps and movements of potential prey, even when hidden by dense vegetation. Imagine a terrorbird standing motionless in the prehistoric forests of South America, its head cocked slightly to one side. To a casual observer, it might appear to be resting or even dozing. But in reality, every fibre of its being is alert, its incredibly sensitive ears picking up the faintest rustle of leaves or the softest patter of tiny feet. In an instant, it can pinpoint the location of its unsuspecting prey and launch into action. This combination of visual and auditory prowess made terrorbirds the complete predatory package. It's no wonder these birds were able to dominate their ecosystems for millions of years. But even the mightiest rulers faced their downfall, and the reign of the terrorbirds was no exception. For millions of years, these avian predators had ruled supreme in South America, developing into a diverse array of species that filled various ecological niches. But somewhere along the line, their luck ran out. Traditionally, the extinction of the terrorbirds was linked to the Great American Interchange, a major paleobiogeographic event that occurred about 2.7 million years ago. This event saw the formation of the Isthmus of Panama, creating a land bridge between North and South America. As a result, animals from both continents were able to migrate across this newly formed connection, leading to a significant reshuffling of fauna. The conventional wisdom held that the influx of new predators from North America, including cats, dogs, and bears, outcompeted the terrorbirds, leading to their eventual extinction. It was a neat and tidy explanation that seemed to make perfect sense. However, as is often the case in science, the truth has turned out to be more complex and nuanced. Recent studies have cast doubt on this simple competition-based extinction model, revealing a more intricate tapestry of factors that led to their demise. The terrorbirds. The name itself conjures images of a prehistoric nightmare. But what I find most haunting is how close they came to surviving into our own era. For years, I thought they had vanished a million years ago. But new fossil discoveries have dramatically changed that timeline. Some smaller species may have lived as recently as 96,000 years ago, a blink of an eye geologically. Even more remarkable is a set of fossils, possibly from an unidentified species, dated to only 18,000 years ago. If that's confirmed, terrorbirds survived almost until humans arrived in South America. The terrorbird's downfall wasn't simple. The competition hypothesis, suggesting placental predators wiped them out, doesn't quite fit. However, a look through history tells us something completely different. Tigers haven't always been this big. Early tigers, existing long before the Neandong tigers, were notably smaller in terms of body size and weight. This smaller stature could be attributed to the available prey and the ecological niches they occupied. A smaller body size offered energy conservation and agility advantages across various terrains. So the early big cats related to tigers, such as Panthera paleocinensis, likely averaged around 70 to 120 kilos in weight. Following them was the Trinil tiger, popularly believed to be the ancestor of all known Indonesian subspecies. I find myself constantly drawn to the stories of creatures that once roamed this earth, titans of their time. Imagine being an apex predator, ruling the wild at the top of the food chain. Life at the top has its perks, certainly. But here's the thing I've learned. Even the most fearsome hunters aren't always the biggest beasts around. Because when it comes to the predator game, size isn't everything. And yet, every so often, nature outdoes itself, creating a carnivore so specialized, so perfectly adapted to hunting big game, that it seems almost like a creature of myth. Let's consider the Ngandong tiger, which existed from the early to the middle Pleistocene epoch. Early forms of the species weighed between 110 to 150 kilograms. However, hunting larger herbivores may not have been that successful despite the Nyandong's enormous size. For instance, stegodons were massive proboscideans, closely related to elephants, with some species reaching immense sizes. Even smaller species of stegodons would have dwarfed the Gondong tiger. Stegodon donsky, for instance, is estimated to have weighed around 12.7 tons. Their thick and tough skin would have protected them from bites or claws. Then, Gandong tiger's best chance would be a scavenging opportunity, or an attack on a vulnerable stegodon, like the young, injured, or isolated. Another example is the water buffaloes, known as bubilis, which are renowned for their large size and formidable strength, with some species weighing over 1,000 kilograms and moving in packs. So it would have been quite hard to face a herd of water buffalo, as their massive size, strong horns, and collective defense would overpower the tiger. The Nandong tiger's only chance against such a colossal opponent would be to exploit their limited agility and target vulnerable areas through a surprise or flank attack. However, the Nyandong tiger succeeded more with other herbivores like Russetimorensis, Malayan tapir, giant rats, gibbons, and wild boars. Despite its many difficulties, the Gondong tiger still earned its place as one of the most impressive predators of all time. Since it hunted alone, its smart hunting skills and ability to target weaker prey, and even sometimes scavenge, shows us how adaptable and tough the beast was. This quality made it thrive for 1,000 years until the extreme climate shifts of the Pleistocene epoch. These included periods of intense cold, with vast ice sheets locking up water, leading to lower sea levels, followed by warmer periods with melting glaciers and rising sea levels. As a result of this, Sunderland was fragmented into smaller islands, leading to the isolated populations of Nandong tigers with limited resources and genetic diversity. From these isolated populations emerged smaller subspecies of tigers, such as the Sumatran tiger, Bali tiger, and Javan tiger. While climate change undoubtedly played a role, scientists proposed that the presence of early humans in Southeast Asia might have been among the reasons why the tigers went extinct. They likely caused increased competition for resources, or potential conflicts that impacted the Nyandong tiger population. Other factors may have also contributed to their demise, but with limited fossil records, we are left with many unanswered questions. I've always been fascinated by the idea of evolution creating specialized tools for survival. And not too long ago, a creature walked the earth perfectly designed to take on the giants of its time. I'm talking about the Smilodon, the saber-toothed cat. Researchers currently place our knife-toothed friend in the extinct subfamily Miocene. This subfamily is home to most of what we call saber-toothed tigers, though saber-toothed cats is more accurate, since these ancient felines aren't closely related to modern tigers or any living cats. In fact, their closest living relatives might be members of the Felinae subfamily, which includes our domestic kitties. Within the Miocene, Smilodon is part of an even more exclusive club, the Smilodontini, or the dirk-toothed cats, a small group with only 5 known genera. As research progressed, scientists discovered that Smilodon wasn't a single species, but more like a prehistoric trio: S. gracilis, S. fatalis, and S. populator. If you came face to face with any of these species, you probably wouldn't be too concerned with which one was about to turn you into lunch. But they did have their differences. S. gracilis, the elder statesman, appeared in North America about 2.5 million years ago, descending from an even older genus called Meganterion. Next came S. fatalis, strutting onto the scene roughly a million years later. Finally, S. populator made its grand entrance about 600,000 years after fatalis, fashionably late to the Ice Age party. S. gracilis, while not small, was the runt of the litter, weighing about the same as a modern jaguar. S. And at the end of those muscular arms, Smilodon was armed with fully retractable claws, razor-sharp and curved like prehistoric scimitars. They were proportionally enormous, even for a cat of Smilodon's size, twice the size of a Siberian tiger's. Those saber teeth of Smilodon. They've captured imaginations for generations. Nature has played around with that dental design across different mammals, but Smilodon, it perfected it. I find myself thinking about the sheer audacity of their length. We're talking about canines so long they went beyond the lower jaw, unlike anything else at the time. Imagine canines that could grow up to 8 inches long, longer than many kitchen knives. These were precision instruments. The teeth were shaped like daggers, designed to pierce deep into flesh. It's interesting, though. You'd expect a predator with teeth like that to have a powerful bite to match. But studies show that Smilodon's bite was relatively weak, 4 times weaker than a modern lion's. So, how did it kill? That's a debate among paleontologists. One theory I find compelling is that Smilodon was the original ambush predator. Hidden in vegetation, it would wait for the perfect moment, then leap, pinning its prey with those claws, and sinking its saber teeth into the soft underbelly, causing massive internal damage. Another scenario suggests that Smilodon used its powerful build to overpower its prey and deliver a lethal bite to the throat. Adding to this, Smilodon could open its jaw to 120 degrees, almost twice as wide as a human can manage. But Smilodon wasn't just teeth and brawn. Brain scans suggest excellent coordination, sharp hearing, and top-notch vision. Their eye socket shape hints at binocular vision, crucial for judging distances. And they were fast. Many Smilodon fossils show trauma to their sternums, the kind of injury you'd expect from high-speed collisions. Smilodon's unique traits made it a versatile hunter. In North America, they targeted giant bison, camels, and even mastodons and Columbian mammoths. In South America, their targets included Toxodon, Lituperna, and various species of Glyptodon, along with horses and camelids. Some evidence suggests they even went after caimans. We know what they ate thanks to skeletal evidence, like tooth marks on bones. But one big question remains. Were they lone hunters or team players? If they hunted in packs, it could tell us a lot about their social structure. One of the strongest pieces of evidence supporting the idea that Smilodons lived socially comes from the La Brea tar pits in California. Most of the bones found there aren't from herbivores, but from predators that got stuck trying to eat the trapped herbivores. Smilodon fossils are the second most common find in these pits. In modern cat species, the more social ones tend to be more responsive to distress calls. To eat, a Smilon would turn its head to the side, using these carnassials to slice off manageable chunks while keeping its saber teeth out of the way. Many modern cats use a similar technique when tackling tough pieces of meat. It's a prime example of nature's problem-solving. With its unique adaptations and hunting prowess, Smilon carved out a vast empire. Between its three species, it achieved a distribution across the Western Hemisphere that would make any modern predator envious. In North America, Smilodon fatalis and Smilodon gracilis roamed from coast to coast, reaching as far north as Alberta, Canada. In South America, Smilodon populator and Smilodon fatalis established a domain stretching all the way down to Patagonia. Smilions weren't just geographically widespread, they were also adaptable. Fossils have been found in diverse environments, from grasslands and plains to woodlands and closed forests, from savannas to subtropical forests, and even mammoth steppes. This adaptability allowed them to live alongside a remarkable collection of Pleistocene megafauna: short-faced bears, proboscideans, ground sloths the size of cars, armored glyptodonts, the rhino-like toxodons, camels, deer, horses, bison, and even terrorbirds. But there was one more species that Smilon encountered in its twilight years, one that would change the face of the planet forever: humans. It's believed that our ancestors might have first crossed paths with Smilions around 25,000 years ago. Imagine being one of those early humans, armed with nothing but primitive tools, coming face to face with a saber-toothed cat. The relationship was likely tense, as we competed for the same food sources. And, unfortunately for our ancestors, by the time humans arrived, only the larger S. populator and S. fatalis remained. Given that Meganterion, a possible predecessor of Smilodon, was known to occasionally prey on Homo erectus, it's not a stretch to imagine that Smilodon might have considered early humans as potential prey too. It's fascinating to think that for a time humans shared the Earth with Smilodon. In 2021, researchers found a petroglyph that seems to show a group of people watching a Smilodon from a distance. It's a tantalizing glimpse into that shared world. But of course, that coexistence didn't last. The youngest remains we've found of both Smilodon fatalis and Smilodon populator date back roughly 10,000 years. It's about the same time that some humans were discovering agriculture. The extinction of Smilodon is still debated among paleontologists. Some believe humans played a role, either through competition or by changing habitats with things like fire. Others aren't so. The more widely accepted theory points to the broader quaternary extinction event. It was a time of significant climate change that led to the disappearance of many large animal species in North and South America. As the megafauna that Smilodon depended on for food began to die out, the saber-toothed predator found itself in a difficult position. In a way, the very adaptations that made Smilodon such a successful hunter of large prey became a liability. It was specialized to take down giants, and it struggled to adapt when those giants disappeared. It was too good at one thing, and when the world changed, it couldn't change with it. The extinction of Smilodon marked the end of a species and the end of an era. It was the last of the saber-toothed cats, not just in the Americas, but worldwide. A lineage that had dominated the planet for over 20 million years came to an end. But its legacy lives on in museum exhibits, in our imaginations, and as a reminder of the fragile balance between species and their environments. And as we face our own period of rapid change, the lesson of Smilodon is clear. Survival requires adaptation. Most apex predators face a basic limitation. They're trapped in one environment. Lions rule the savanna, but are helpless in water. Great whites dominate the ocean, but can't set a fin on land. Even T-Rex, for all its might, was confined to dry ground, forced to watch as prey slipped into rivers and lakes beyond its reach. For over a century, paleontologists assumed the greatest hunters were strictly terrestrial. Then one discovery shattered that belief overnight. Its name was Spinosaurus aegyptiacus. And finally, that towering sail cutting through the air like the dorsal fin of some impossible shark. Imagine being a large fish in the rivers of Cretaceous Africa. Your entire lineage has adapted to recognize danger. The shadow of a pterosaur overhead, the ripples of an approaching crocodile, the subtle current shifts that signal a nearby predator. Every instinct is tuned to read these watery warning signs, sharpened by countless generations of survival. But none of that mattered when Spinosaurus arrived. The attack began before you even realized you were being hunted. While you scanned the water for the familiar threats you knew how to avoid, death approached from an angle you weren't prepared for. The shoreline. Those paddle feet weren't just for show. They propelled Spinosaurus through water with surprising speed and maneuverability, allowing it to pursue prey through underwater mazes of fallen logs and vegetation, where other large predators would become trapped or disoriented. Unlike purely aquatic predators that relied on ambush, or purely terrestrial ones limited to shoreline attacks, this nightmare could adapt its hunting strategy in real time. Miss your target during an underwater pursuit? Simply rise to the surface and use those powerful arms to snatch prey from above. Prey takes refuge in shallow water. Those webbed feet provided perfect stability for wading attacks that no other large theropod could attempt. The creature could track multiple targets simultaneously, predict their movements, and position itself for killing strikes with mechanical precision. Those massive nostrils, positioned high on the skull like a crocodile's, allowed Spinosaurus to breathe while almost fully submerged, keeping most of its body hidden beneath the surface. But the true weapon wasn't smell. It was touch. Its snout was covered in a dense network of tiny sensory pits specialized for detecting press waves and subtle water disturbances. In murky rivers where visibility dropped to inches, This system worked like underwater radar. Every flick of a fish's tail, every ripple from a struggling lungfish, even the faintest shift in current. I often find myself thinking about the most terrifying killing machine imaginable. Not just bone-crushing power, but relentless, inescapable pres. That's what Spinosaurus was. A prehistoric nightmare that refuses to stay buried in stone. Its bite wasn't about a single, devastating blow, like a T-Rex. It was calibrated for steady, inescapable pres, those backward-curved teeth doing their grisly work. And the sheer abundance of fish remains where Spinosaurus fossils are found suggests it wasn't just efficient. It was constant. A perpetual killing machine. Imagine southeastern Morocco 100 million years ago. Not desert, but a lush river system. A prehistoric paradise that became hell on earth. Rivers wider than the Amazon, tropical forests stretching endlessly, the air humming with giant creatures. Palm trees grew where we now find Arctic latitudes, and thunderstorms rolled across the landscape with mechanical regularity, feeding the endless network of rivers and swamps. In this steaming, river-choked ecosystem, Spinosaurus wasn't alone. It shared its territory with a deadly mix of predators, prey, and rivals. Giants like Carcharodontosaurus patrolled the land, while Sarasuchus, the 40-foot supercroc, competed for aquatic hunting grounds. Mid-sized hunters cleaned up leftovers, and swift predators carved out their place with speed and specialized tactics. Somehow, herbivores survived this gauntlet, and the waters teemed with monstrous prey. Every species lived in constant tension with Spinosaurus's dominance. Land predators maintained uneasy truces. Herbivores relied on elaborate survival tactics just to drink. And aquatic prey developed increasingly tough defenses. The last Spinosaurus died approximately 94 million years ago. But the questions this creature raises about predation, dominance, and the very limits of survival continue to ripple through our understanding. The skull was unlike anything I had ever seen. It had enlarged premolars and a cranial structure more like a lion or hyena than any dog I knew. It posed a challenging question. What exactly was this creature? The answer, it turned out, lay in those specialized premolars and the robust jaw structure, aligning perfectly with the Borophagini subfamily, a distinct group within the larger canid family. Often referred to as bone-crushing dogs, they were one of the most successful, yet least known, branches of the canid family. These Borophagini were remarkably diverse, comprising 66 known species. They had powerful teeth, shortened but deep jaws, and a fifth toe, a feature lost in many modern canids. For over 15 million years, they dominated the North American landscape, taking on an impressive array of forms. Some were no larger than modern foxes, while others rivaled or exceeded the size of today's grey wolves. Among them, Epicyon emerged as the ultimate expression of the bone-crushing dog lineage, its name literally meaning more than a dog. Recent studies of modern canids have actually helped paleontologists better understand where Epicyon fits within the larger canid family. These studies suggest that the Borophagini represented a highly specialized branch, one that followed a unique path compared to the lineage that would eventually lead to modern wolves and dogs. This specialization helps explain both Epicyon's unusual features and its eventual fate. Within the genus Epicion, 3 distinct species emerged to fill different ecological niches: Epicion saevus, Epicion haydeni, and Epicion elodontoides. While all 3 species were impressive predators, they varied significantly in size and build. The smaller species, Saevus and Elodontoides, while still formidable, possessed more gracile builds that allowed for greater agility and speed. Even these smaller species typically weighed twice as much as a modern German Shepherd. But it was Epicion haydeni that truly pushed the boundaries of canid adaptation. Adults routinely reached lengths of 2.4 meters, nearly 8 feet, rivaling the length of a grizzly bear, while standing 90 centimeters, or 35 inches, at the shoulder, comparable to the height of a wild deer. This massive frame supported an equally impressive body mass, with average adults weighing between 125 and 170 kilograms, making them heavier than modern leopards and comparable to large jaguars. Some specimens would have matched medium-sized male lions in weight, making them the heaviest known canids ever to exist. While Epicion's size alone made it a formidable predator, its most remarkable feature was its bite. Recent biomechanical studies have revealed that this ancient canid possessed one of the most powerful biting mechanisms ever seen in a mammalian carnivore. The combination of enlarged premolars and strategically positioned canine teeth, placed proportionally closer to the jaw joint than in modern canids, created a highly efficient biting apparatus. New analysis of the skull architecture suggests that Epicion's bite force may have exceeded 16,000 newtons, a force comparable to that of large American alligators. This tremendous power was further enhanced by the positioning of its killing teeth. The closer placement of the canines to the jaw joint created a more efficient lever system, concentrating enormous force at the tooth tips during bites. The result was a bite that could easily pierce through thick hide, flesh, and even bone. The mechanical advantage of this dental arrangement wasn't just theoretical. Microscopic analysis of wear patterns on preserved teeth provides direct evidence of how Epicion used its formidable bite in real-world situations. These studies show distinctive patterns of wear consistent with both flesh-slicing and bone-crushing activities, suggesting a predator that could efficiently process every part of its prey. Evidence from fossil deposits indicates that Epicion was an opportunistic predator capable of taking down a wide range of prey. Their fossil remains have been found in association with various prey species, including ancient camels, pronghorns, horses, and peccaries. Perhaps most impressively, they appear to have been capable of hunting prehistoric rhinoceros species like Teleoceros, which could reach lengths of 4 meters and weigh nearly 2 tons. Recent studies suggest that Epicion may have employed different hunting strategies depending on prey size and availability. Recent studies of their limbs suggest these animals were built for short, explosive bursts of power, not for long-distance chases. It seems they relied on ambush tactics, or short, high-speed chases. And in that context, pack hunting would have been especially helpful, allowing groups to surround and overwhelm prey that might have otherwise escaped. But one of Epicion's most remarkable traits was its ability to process and digest bone. That's what really sets it apart from most other large carnivores. Its specialized premolars and thickened molars, short, pyramid-like, in shape, with wide bases, closely resembled those of modern hyenas. It's a fascinating example of unrelated species developing similar adaptations to exploit the same ecological niche. Analyses of fossilized feces associated with Epicyon have revealed high concentrations of processed bone material, confirming this bone-crushing behavior. This adaptation would have provided several advantages. First, it allowed them to extract maximum nutrition from their kills by accessing bone marrow, one of the most nutrient-rich tissues available. Second, it potentially reduced competition with other predators by allowing them to utilize parts of carcasses that others simply couldn't process. I imagine this ability to process bone would have been particularly valuable during periods of scarcity. The Miocene epoch, after all, was characterized by significant climate fluctuations, with periods of both warming and cooling, and shifts between wet and dry conditions. During times when prey was scarce, the ability to fully utilize every part of a carcass, even the bones, would have provided a crucial survival advantage. And the success of Epicyon is evident in its widespread distribution across North America during the Miocene. Fossil remains have been discovered in more than 10 different US states and parts of southern Canada, indicating a remarkable ability to adapt to various environments. Recent paleo-environmental studies have shown that these ancient predators thrived in a diverse array of habitats, from woodlands and savannas to grasslands and wetlands. I find the discoveries of Epicyon remains in cave systems and edge environments particularly interesting. These are areas where different habitat types intersect. It suggests that Epicyon wasn't just adaptable, but potentially strategic in its habitat selection, preferring areas that provided both hunting opportunities and shelter. Their ability to process a variety of foods likely contributed to this ecological flexibility. While primarily carnivorous, the structure of their teeth suggests they could also process tough plant material when necessary. The bones themselves were uniquely reinforced with internal struts and buttresses, similar to the architectural principles used in modern building construction. This internal reinforcement provided an additional layer of protection beyond just the external armor, making every part of the animal resistant to crushing forces. The Ankylosaurus's skull alone is a marvel of design and intricate functionality. Shaped like a broad triangle, it was designed to withstand immense press. Its jaw mechanics, though less powerful than those of a carnivore, were finely tuned for grinding tough plant material. The teeth, small but ridged, created an effective tool for processing vegetation, and wear patterns suggest a highly specialized feeding strategy. What's more, the placement of its nostrils and the complexity of its nasal passages indicate not only a heightened sense of smell, but also the possibility of thermoregulatory adaptations. Speaking of armor, the Ankylosaurus's defensive system was far more sophisticated than initially understood. While we've known about its bony plates, or osteoderms, for decades, recent microscopic analysis has revealed an intricate network of blood vessels running through these structures. This discovery suggests that the armor might have served multiple purposes, not just protection, but possibly also helping to regulate body temperature, similar to how some modern reptiles use their scales for thermoregulation. The number of these osteoderms remains a subject of debate among paleontologists, with estimates ranging from 30 to well over 100. But what's particularly intriguing is their unique construction. Unlike other armored dinosaurs that had solid, thick plates, the Ankylosaurus possessed something more sophisticated: osteoderms with hollow undersides. This seemingly counterintuitive design actually represented a remarkable feat of natural engineering. The hollow structure created a dome-like formation that distributed impact forces more effectively than solid plates would have, similar to how modern motorcycle helmets use their curved design to protect riders. This adaptation made the armor particularly effective. I've always been fascinated by the Ankylosaurus, a creature so heavily armored it's almost unbelievable. Imagine an herbivore so well defended it could withstand the crushing bite of a T-Rex, a predator whose hunting strategy relied on delivering powerful, bone-shattering bites. It wasn't just luck. It was millions of years of evolution perfecting a mobile fortress. The more I learn, the more impressed I am by this remarkable defense system. Beneath the armored plates of Ankylosaurus lay a network of collagen fibers that puts modern protective materials to shame. These fibers, significantly thicker than those found in modern armored animals like crocodiles and armadillos, created a natural composite material, much like modern fiber-reinforced plastics. The association of Ankylosaurus fossils with specific types of vegetation has led researchers to hypothesize that they may have helped disperse seeds, inadvertently promoting plant diversity. Seasonal changes would have impacted the behavior of Ankylosaurus. Fossil evidence indicates that some regions experienced dry and wet seasons, influencing the availability of food resources. Ankylosaurus may have adapted by modifying its diet or undertaking small-scale migrations to follow vegetation growth. The robust construction of its body, coupled with its ability to consume tough plant material, would have allowed it to survive in less than ideal conditions. The coexistence of Ankylosaurus with large herbivores like Triceratops and Edmontosaurus, as well as apex predators like Tyrannosaurus rex, paints a vivid picture of its ecological niche. While Ankylosaurus was not the most numerous dinosaur in its ecosystem, its defensive adaptations end its survival alongside fierce competition. Its presence in these environments exemplifies the Ankylosaurus. Even its teeth tell a story. Recent studies show wear patterns suggesting a surprising degree of dietary flexibility. While primarily herbivorous, munching on ferns and horsetails, it seems this armored dinosaur may have occasionally supplemented its diet with protein-rich fungi or small invertebrates, much like modern tortoises and iguanas. I find myself wondering about the sheer scale of its digestive system. The remains of Rio Grandensis, more plentiful and better preserved, provided a clearer understanding of the ecological role and life habits of these giant reptiles. Paleontologists estimate that the average adult Deinosuchus would have mead between 8 and 10 meters, or 26 to 33 feet, in length, and weighed between 2.5 and 5 tons, more than twice the size of a male hippo. Some individuals were capable of growing even larger. Despite the initial inflated estimates, the reality of Deinosuchus's size remains impressive, solidifying its reputation as one of the largest crocodilians to have ever lived. Among the known specimens, the Rio Grandensis species stands out for its impressive size. Detailed studies of these large remains, found primarily in Texas, suggest that the largest Deinosuchus riograndensis individuals could reach lengths of up to 12 meters and weigh around 8.5 tons. This makes them not only the largest crocodilians to have ever lived, but also heavier than most dinosaurs, except for the tyrant king, Tyrannosaurus rex. Paleontologist Thomas Lehman, who extensively examined the Deinosuchus fossils from Texas, provided fascinating insights into the biology and growth patterns of these ancient reptiles. His research revealed that the largest specimens exhibited growth rings in their osteoderms, similar to tree rings, which offered valuable information about their age and growth rates. Notably, some of the largest Regensis individuals showed evidence of rapid growth spurts during their juvenile years, followed by more gradual growth into adulthood. These findings underscore the significant impact of environmental factors, such as food availability and climate conditions, on the growth and maximum size of Deinosuchus. Deinosuchus, with its brain case and overall appearance, bore a striking resemblance to modern alligators, including a body and snout that superficially mimicked these contemporary relatives. This similarity made Deinosuchus an imposing figure in its environment. However, beyond this general resemblance, Deinosuchus was distinct from other crocodilians, featuring a unique skull shape not seen in any living or extinct genus. The skull of Deinosuchus was exceptionally large, measuring up to 1.7 meters, or 5.6 feet, in length, comparable to that of an adult Spinosaurus. Despite its impressive size and robust build, studies have shown that Deinosuchus's bite force was somewhat surprisingly modest. A 2002 study reported a bite force of about 18,000 newtons, sufficient to crush bones, but relatively weak considering its size, especially when compared to the smaller saltwater crocodile, which exerts a bite force of 500 newtons. Examinations of Deinosuchus fossils reveal that its skull was not only massive, but also highly specialized. The arrangement of its teeth showcased a combination adapted to its predatory lifestyle: conical and sharp front teeth for grasping prey, and blunt, robust rear teeth designed for crushing bones. This unique dental structure allowed Deinosuchus to tackle a diverse range of prey, from large dinosaurs to hard-shelled turtles, highlighting its versatility as a formidable predator. The bite force of Deinosuchus has been a topic of considerable debate and study, reflecting one of the widest ranges in estimates for any prehistoric predator. Initial research suggested a bite force of around 18,000 newtons, a figure based on the size and structure of its skull. However, this estimate was challenged by a later study, which proposed that Deinosuchus possessed an astonishingly powerful bite force exceeding 100,000 newtons, nearly double that of Tyrannosaurus rex. This dramatic discrepancy highlights the ongoing debate within the paleontological community. Dr. Greg Erickson, leading one of the key studies on this topic, employed advanced biomechanical modeling to simulate Deinosuchus's bite mechanics. Erickson's team found that the robust construction of Deinosuchus's skull and teeth supported the possibility of such a formidable bite force. With 22 exceptionally robust teeth designed to withstand high forces, and some specifically adapted for crushing large bones, this ancient crocodilian was well equipped to exert tremendous press. The latest evidence leans towards the higher end of the estimated range, reinforcing the notion that Deinosuchus could have indeed possessed one of the most powerful bites of any known predator. This higher estimate aligns with the physical characteristics of its skull and teeth, suggesting that Deinosuchus was capable of generating extreme biting forces, making it one of the most formidable crocodile forms ever to have existed. The formidable bite force of Deinosuchus, along with its durable and sizable teeth about the size of a banana, points to its role as a dominant predator of its time. This prehistoric giant was well equipped to tackle the largest prey in its environment. Evidence suggests the Deinosuchus primarily targeted large. I've always been fascinated by the idea of apex predators, those creatures that sit at the very top of the food chain. And few are as compelling as Deinosuchus, an ancient crocodilian that dwarfed even some of the largest dinosaurs. Bite marks on fossilized dinosaur bones tell a silent story of its dominance. Its very existence likely shaped the behavior and distribution of other animals in its habitat. The danger Deinosuchus posed wasn't limited to just one type of dinosaur. Hadrosaurs like Griosaurus and Chasmosaurus were certainly on the menu, as evidenced by fossilized tail vertebrae found in Texas bearing bite marks that seem to match Deinosuchus. But its size and strength made it a potential threat to Ankylosaurus, and even larger theropods like Apalacheosaurus. Bite marks on their bones have also been attributed to this massive predator. It seems no one was entirely safe. Deinosuchus likely influenced the size and distribution of other theropods in its eastern habitat, becoming the uncontested apex predator. Coprolite analysis has given us direct evidence of Deinosuchus's diet. These fossilized feces contain fragments of dinosaur bones, fish scales, and turtle shells, providing a snapshot of its varied meals. Dr. Karen Chin, a specialist in coprolite studies, emphasizes just how important these findings are. The diverse prey items found in these coprolites highlight the opportunistic feeding behavior of Deinosuchus, suggesting it consumed everything from large herbivorous dinosaurs to smaller aquatic creatures. It's believed that Deinosuchus used ambush tactics to capture its prey, using its massive size and crushing bite to inflict fatal injuries. Like modern crocodiles, it likely employed a death roll maneuver to enhance its hunting efficiency, grabbing prey and then rapidly rotating, using its body weight and momentum to incapacitate and dismember it. When I think about the physics involved, it is truly terrifying. Reconstructing the hunting methods of Deinosuchus involves analyzing fossil evidence and comparing it with the behavior of modern crocodilians. Its strong limbs and tail allowed it to navigate both aquatic and terrestrial settings, tolerating varying salinity levels, which further demonstrates its ecological flexibility. If Deinosuchus indeed ventured into deeper waters, it might have encountered other giant predators like Tylosaurus, one of the largest mosasaurs. This interaction could suggest a complex predator-prey dynamic within its ecosystem, influencing the behavior and distribution of various species. Deinosuchus lived alongside a vast array of dinosaurs and other prehistoric creatures. It coexisted with herbivorous dinosaurs like Anodontosaurus, Gryosaurus, Cosmoceratops, Eutriceratops, and many others. Bite marks on the bones of hadrosaurs and other dinosaurs provide clear evidence of its predatory behavior. Deinosuchus's presence likely impacted the distribution and behavior of these animals, asserting itself as an apex predator in its habitat. Despite its dominance, Deinosuchus vanished from the fossil record around 73 million years ago. The reasons for its extinction remain unclear. Though climate changes, sea level fluctuations, and competition with emerging predators are potential factors, its extinction marked the end of an era. But the fossil remains of Deinosuchus continue to provide valuable insights into the life and ecosystems of the late Cretaceous period. And while we're talking about apex predators, I find myself thinking about big cats. The tiger, lion, and jaguar have always fought for supremacy, each vying to be the ultimate predator. But there's one ancient beast that towers above them all: the American lion. This was no ordinary feline. It was the largest to ever walk the earth. Imagine a creature so massive that some individuals weighed as much as an adult brown bear, easily dwarfing today's biggest lions. This isn't just another big cat. It's a legendary predator that dominated its world like no other, leaving modern felines in the dust. The story of this magnificent creature's discovery begins in the humid lands of Mississippi during the early 1800s. When paleontologists first unearthed fragments of its skull, they initially believed they had found remains of an unusually large domestic cat, placing it in the genus Felis. This classification, however, would prove to be just the first chapter in a much longer story of scientific discovery and reclassification. As more specimens emerged from the Earth, scientists quickly realized they were dealing with something far more impressive: the sheer size and distinctive features. Modern science constantly reshapes our understanding of prehistoric life, and the story of the American lion is no exception. We used to think it was just a subspecies of the modern lion, earning it the name American lion. But recent research has revealed that this massive predator wasn't exactly what we first thought. In fact, DNA analysis has shown that it emerged from an isolated population of cave lions that became trapped south of the North American ice sheets approximately 340,000 years ago. These fossils prompted researchers to reclassify the species under the genus Panthera, home to today's most powerful big cats: the lion, tiger, jaguar, leopard, and snow leopard. Initially dubbed Panthera leoatrox, detailed anatomical studies revealed crucial differences that set it apart from modern lions: a more robust build, proportionally longer limbs, and, most notably, the absence of a prominent mane in males. These distinctions led to its reclassification as its own species, Panthera atrox, the cruel panther. This separation occurred during a crucial period of the Pleistocene epoch, leading to rapid adaptations to North American environments. While modern lions are indeed their closest living relatives, the last common ancestor between these species lived somewhere between 500,000 and 1.9 million years ago, a testament to how quickly changes can occur under the right conditions. The sheer size of the American lion sets it apart from any feline living or extinct. On average, these beasts were about 25% larger than today's African lions, but this statistic only tells part of the story. Male American lions typically weighed between 351 kg, 774 lb, and 420 kg, 930 lb, already making them substantially larger than any living big cat. However, the most impressive specimens, discovered in 2012, have been estimated to weigh an astounding 523 kg, 153 lb, equivalent to the weight of 8 adult humans combined. To put this in perspective, even the largest recorded Siberian tigers, which are the biggest living cats today, rarely exceed 300 kilos, 660 lb. The American lion's only real competitor for size was the equally impressive Smilodon populator, which could reach weights of up to 470 kilos, 1,040 lb. However, the discovery of those exceptionally large American lion specimens in 2012 firmly established Panthera atrox as the heavyweight champion of the feline world. What makes the American lion particularly remarkable is that, despite its enormous size, it maintained the agility and speed characteristic of big cats. Conservative estimates suggest it could reach speeds of over 30 mph, 48 km/h, faster than any human athlete and comparable to a charging warthog. This combination of size and speed would have made it an extraordinarily effective predator. The hunting strategy of the American lion likely relied heavily on ambush tactics, a conclusion drawn from both its anatomical features and the hunting behaviors of its modern relatives. Its robust bone structure and powerful muscles would have allowed it to quickly overwhelm large prey, while its long legs provided the burst speed necessary for successful ambush attacks. Fossil evidence provides compelling insights into its hunting capabilities. The discovery of Blue Babe, a remarkably preserved steppe bison in Alaska, bears the unmistakable marks of an American lion attack. Deep claw wounds and distinctive bite patterns that match the predator's dentition. Even more telling are the fossils found at sites like Natural Trap Cave in Wyoming, where researchers have uncovered numerous prey species bearing the characteristic damage patterns of American lion predation. What truly set American lions apart from their contemporary rivals wasn't just their size. It was their exceptional adaptability and territorial dominance. Recent studies of fossil deposits across North America have revealed fascinating insights into their social structure and hunting territories. Unlike modern African lions that typically control territories of 100 to 200 kilometers, evidence suggests that American lions commanded vastly larger ranges, some extending up to 500 kilometers per pride. This massive territory was a necessity, not a luxury, given their enormous size and corresponding caloric needs. The fossil record tells us an intriguing story of their social dynamics. While modern lions live in prides of up to 15 individuals, American lion social groups appear to have been smaller but more efficient. Bone assemblages at key sites like the Page-Ladson site in Florida and the Rancho La Brea deposits suggest groups of 4 to 6 adults working together with devastating effectiveness. Their large brain case suggests they were more than just brute force. I think that intelligence showed in their ability to avoid natural traps like tar pits, unlike so many other predators of the time. Their range was vast, stretching from Alaska to central Mexico. They shared that territory with mammoths, mastodons, giant ground sloths, and even early humans. I wonder what those encounters were like. There's evidence they left an impression on early human art and mythology. Then, about 12,877 years ago, they vanished, along with so many other large mammals in North America. Was it the changing climate, the dwindling prey, or the increasing prey from humans? It was likely a combination of all those factors, pushing these magnificent predators past their breaking point. But there were other giants ruling the skies in prehistoric times. Take the Quetzalcoatlus, a name that evokes something truly monstrous. I've always been fascinated by Quetzalcoatlus, that giant of the skies. It had an extraordinary metabolism, much like other pterosaurs, to support its way of life. For a long time, scientists thought it was cold-blooded, like most reptiles. But now we know Quetzalcoatlus was actually warm-blooded and quite active. Warm-blooded or cold, it certainly wasn't winning any beauty contests. Contrary to some ideas, it's unlikely that any modern flyers are descended from this animal. Its long, pointed beak was similar to a modern stork, but without the hooked tip. One of these giants could take off with a single leap and maintain altitude with a few flaps. After launch, they could probably fly non-stop for thousands of kilometers, simply flapping to maintain altitude and course. The short wings were made of tightly packed muscle fibers, actinobrals, that end flexibility and strength, allowing precise adjustments in the air. The extraordinary flight techniques of Quetzalcoatlus even led to a mission to construct a model flying machine to test flight simulations. It was the size of Quetzalcoatlus lawsoni, with a basic computer as an autopilot. The model demonstrated the effectiveness of the experiment, soaring and flapping its wings through the air. Quetzalcoatlus and other Azhdarchids have hind limb proportions more similar to modern running mammals than to their smaller cousins, implying they were uniquely suited to a terrestrial lifestyle, even though they were quadrupeds on the ground. This led scientists to study the lifestyle and feeding habits of Quetzalcoatlus. It's widely accepted that this flying giant was a carnivore, though what it ate exactly is unclear. Douglas Lawson, who first discovered Quetzalcoatlus, described it as scavenging on the carcasses of titanosaur sauropods, much like a marabou stork. Scavenging seemed plausible because the fossil was located far from the coast, with no signs of large rivers or deep lakes nearby. But that scavenging idea was debunked in 1996.